delegate for 20 years, so it's all right to keep calling me delegate. Well, it's still good morning, isn't it? I've thought about this over a very long time, and I'm like my seatmate here. I have a very open mind, and I have read all of the comments, and I think what is guiding me. I have not come to any decisions as yet as to which direction, but and I've had hundreds. Many of you have hundreds of emails, hundreds, blocking up my computer on this issue. But as a nurse of over 50 years, my past delegate colleague, Delegate Oaks, would have a good laugh when I say as a nurse of over 50 years, I've witnessed firsthand suffering, pain and suffering. I've watched folks with very conscious with their body deteriorating right in front of them. And I say to myself, as a woman, as an elderly woman who I am, I say to myself, would I want this for me? And those are some of the questions that I ask myself. Would I want my children sitting there and standing there and watching me suffer, my children and grandchildren suffering in this way? I've thought about it. And again, on the other hand, I really wouldn't want to come right out and say, I'm taking my life. But I would like for it to be for my physician and for the decision that I make and whatever I put in my advance directive, to follow those very carefully, to make sure that I sleep peacefully away. And I think many of us hope and pray that we would drop dead rather than lay in one of those beds and decay and rot, as I have seen it over and over. I've watched my own aunt, which is 102 years old, watch her with losing both legs and stay in that bed till with decubitus ulcers, with everything, and watch the pain and suffering. Yes, and I said, my God, why is she still? But as a young woman, she was very active. She had collateral circulation to her heart. Her heart was still strong, but she lay there, suffer and suffer and suffer. And so those are some of the things that I'm grappling with. And as I got here this morning, on my way here, I got a letter from a physician in my district, of course, again stating that there are unintended consequences that he sees in the legislation as it is. I know there's some changes, and I hope that we can come up with a piece of legislation that is worthy of passing. And as a dear man who I love dearly, he was in his 80s, and as he was dying, I was sitting by his bedside, did not want to leave. And he said, Shirley, go ahead, go where you have to go, because sometime dying is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do in this life. And so that stayed with me all these years. Sometimes dying is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. And so with that, I will think very carefully about how I deliberate on the final aspect of this legislation. Thank you.
I want to mention, Ron, I'm not going to take 5 minutes because I think I did explaining, but I will say that we did not remove the Pip Moyer, and I'm sorry. So the one thing you liked that we didn't do. We changed the other part of the name, and I just want to correct that so that, because I didn't say it very well, so I can understand why you heard it that way. With that, I'll just move on to Delegate Hill. I think Senator Ramirez would like to make the last comments, which is fine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this was a